Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to listen to Dem Boys Watch Footy. It's your boy E. We got TC here. How's it going?
Not too bad, E. Not too bad. Just on the back of a lot of football. Wow, a lot of football.
It's been amazing to see. Today has been really great. It is. We're talking on Monday night. It's really late. We were both watching the United States lose to Uruguay, 1-0. So they are now out of the Copa America, and that's just one of the football games that we want to talk about. But yeah, it's been a long day. A lot of football over the weekend. I'm loving how much has been hitting us, and it's only going to get a little bit crazier. A lot more storylines are going to be discussed. A lot more heartbreak. A lot more heroes and saviors. So it's been really good to see. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the recent and most fresh game in our minds, E. I think let's talk about that USA versus Uruguay game.
Yeah, USA versus Uruguay. U.S. men's team lost 1-0. Goal in the 60th minute. There's a lot of things that happened in this match, and there's a lot of things, as this is initial feedback, initial offerings. It was just so much that happened. One, USA couldn't score against a team that had already wrapped up the group. They were second best, and Uruguay
all over the pitch.
Yeah, they were. Uruguay is a scrappy, good team. Like, they have good players all over. This was always going to be a hard game for the U.S., but not to be able to score against a squad that has already moved forward, and they're without their coach. And then as well, the biggest caveat is how bad the refereeing was today. Those are my three takeaways for right now. What about you?
So just what I was saying, it's really about, I have to give and this is to everyone who believes in the USA team. I hope this is a real reality check to you. 2022, the USA team did well, got past the group stage, made it into the next rounds, into the quarterfinals. Woohoo! Great. Okay? The team has got great players. There's no doubt about that. But they are shit, and I'm sorry I have to use such crude terms because I have to highlight that it is no joke. This is not the golden generation. This is a generation of talented players. Golden means you are golden for a reason. You don't just become the golden generation because some of you play in England and Coventry City. No, thank you. I don't give a fuck. I had this conversation, and I'm sorry, Eric. I just want to finish this point because Team USA is not the women's team. There's only one football team in America that is successful, and that is the females team. The males team is exactly where it's been. Okay, they might as well be taking running fucking penalties because that's where we are going. You know what you need to do? We need to look at it from ground up, ground roots up, and this is where I'm seeing. I was watching ground roots football the other day. It's coming through. We are too expectant on the players now. Wait for 2030. Wait for 2040. Jeez.
I mean, all right, let's go back to your point about the golden generation. Remember, we were talking about Belgium has a golden generation. Croatia, they're just leaving their golden generation. They went as far as they possibly could, and they actually had real accolades to come with it. So, two different ways that the media has used golden generation. That's what I'm seeing.
Negative 90. All those teams you mentioned, just interrupt you, just at that point. All those players in the golden jet, part of those golden, the reason they're golden is because those players won things in their clubs. All of the teams you mentioned, all the players there won a Champions League.
For sure. I mean, the best that the USA has had to do, because remember, we're still a young nation, and we're still a pretty young football nation.
Who's the most successful?
Our infrastructure, as you said, grassroots, that's something that's been really big in my heart for a very long time. It's the reason why I was working in footy as long as I have been, really trying to grow the game. Grassroots level, pay to play, that is a big scourge. Our first episode ever on this podcast, we discussed about that. It was one thing that's really near and dear to our hearts here over at Dem Boys Watch Footy. But what I'm seeing still, and I have to bring it back to previous episodes, is our inability to coach on the international stage against quality opponents. That's where I want to take it, because every time we play someone that is above our fighting weight, and I'm talking about anyone above our fighting weight in after CONCACAF, like the fact that we lost to Panama, we had that red card, but we were still up. That made sense. But we all knew going into this matchup, even though Uruguay had already progressed, we still felt as though we had no chance at all in that match.
I 100% agree.
That's scary. That's really scary to think about. Like, as a team that is in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings in the world, as a team that has, as you said, our golden, in quotes, our golden generation.
USA is in the top 10? I'm sorry. Did you say, is USA in the top 10?
In FIFA ranking, right now, the USA is... Okay, USA is not in the top 10. They're in the top 20.
Yeah, they're about like 25.
Yeah, something like that. Let me take a...
No, it's okay.
US is 11. So there were some real thoughts about our squad being good, you know?
Look, FIFA rankings aside, I think when you said it, when you're looking across at the other teams in Colombia, Panama, Uruguay, Argentina, these teams are soft, and to me, far superior technically, tactically, and individually.
Tactically, yes. Technically, we've got some ballers. We've got some techers.
I'm not saying I'm saying, but across the board,
not across the board. Hell no.
We've got. That's what I'm saying. Holistically and overall, we definitely are technically. I believe we're catching up very quickly because of the work that has been done in the grassroots level, at the kids level. You'll find it very hard to find better. I'd say 14, maybe 8 to 12-year-old girls and 8 to 12-year-old boys to be very equal with some of the club academy, the top clubs in America. So grassroots, I think there's definitely things to build on. I think what we have to start seeing though is a coach who is able to push beyond the simple narratives that have plagued American football for decades. I'm sorry. American football has always been seen as like men's football. And let's not even talk about women are not in the same bracket yet. Please, women's football are absolute elite.
Yeah,
we need a whole podcast for women's football in America because it's elite. It's elite. What we're seeing here against the men is that I don't believe that we have seen a coach. Even Jurgen Klinsmann, we just have not seen a coach who's able to take what we have, utilize and play to our strengths. It's one thing in having the players; it's another thing in recognizing where your strengths are on with your squad and playing to them. What we are not doing is we can't just impose a structure and a system on the team. And let's be fair to the USA. We had a couple of players out by injury, long-term, short-term red cards. That besides. I think what you need to start looking at long-term plans. What is at the moment, I know the USA is working towards 2030 in terms of for the World Cup. That is 6 years away. That's fine. I think the plan should always...
The World Cup is coming here in 2026.
That's what I said. Sorry,
you said 2030.
I did? Sorry,
yeah.
My bad. What I meant is the plan should be for 3 World Cups from now. What is the plan for 4 World Cups? That is how you start to build. You cannot look, and this is what we would be doing because, wow, and you know what, Eric, and I'm just going to say this is the last point because I don't want to keep dragging on about this. This is not a surprise to me, to be fair, if I'm very honest, and I'm sorry, I said at the beginning, this is not a surprise. USA is shit, and I mean laxative shit, not in a bad way. Good players, good structure, they can win a game, do well in the World Cup, cool, but in all honesty, there's a long way to go, and I think that's the bottom line.
Well, let me go back to your point. I feel as though after we let go of Jurgen Klinsmann in 2016, we had 10 years, and we even bid for the World Cup. So that was, 2016. So we had 2018, we had 2022. Now we're about to have 2026. So we had a plan. We had a plan for a World Cup in 2026, and that was going to be on U.S. soil. albeit it's being split between Mexico and Canada, but the majority of games, the majority of matches are taking place on U.S. soil. Right now, watching what we just watched on TV, these stadiums need work. Infrastructure here still needs work even though we have all of these soccer specific stadiums. We can't use any of them because they're not compliant for FIFA matches because they're too small capacity wise. Our football has been stagnant. Our way of playing has been stagnant. The players have gotten better, so there was a real plan. The plan after Jurgen Klinsmann got fired in 2016, make sure that all the players that we want play in Europe, make sure that they're starters, and make sure that we have a solid possession-based style of gameplay. Those are the three mantras that we took into for the last 8 years. We got 2 more years to go until the World Cup in 2026. That progression has really stalled, and I haven't felt as though that we're moving forward. Last point that I want to make is now that we know that there isn't really any movement, but we only have 2 more years left, if we get rid of Berhalter now, which would still be the smart move, can we find a coach that is actually going to take us to the right level of play? Seeing Jesse Marsh go over to Canada and still be able to get that squad to move on. Yes, they made the World Cup, but that squad at the World Cup in 2022 is not as good as the squad that they have right now in 2024. And so them being able to progress within the Copa, you see a real style of possession, style of gameplay. They actually have an identity. With Berhalter, I do not see it, and I don't know what type of coach we're going to get that is going to be able to install a game plan and be able to be with these U.S. men's national team players long enough to really have an imprint moving forward within the next 2 years. Because this was a major tournament. If we had kept going, we would have seen a bigger evolution of how players are going to play in a tournament moving forward. But again, we have been stymied and we were second best within our group. And that's really sad saying because we were playing on home soil, we were hosting, and we're the first host nation ever to not make it through to the groups out of the group stages of the Copa America. So,
well, Eric, I think you've actually hit something very, very lovely, which I think would feed into our next point. Moving on from that disaster called USA, is exactly that. There's a lot of available coaches out there, and they will be post this freaking Copa America. I can tell you that.
Post
and Euros, to be fair. Southgate is going to be free. That is a fact.
I hope we
so if I'm looking at some of the available coaches, like there's Frank Lampard, Graham Potter, Xavi, Thomas Tuchel, Mauricio Pochettino.
I do not see most of these club coaches wanting to coach internationally right now.
Wait a second. Hold on. Massimo Allegro. Well, you know what? Why not? Because it's a great way. And I say this. The USA job comes with less expectations to some of the clubs. There's a lot less matches. Easy on the family. Great pay. Great payoff if you get fired. And to be fair, where is the American headquarters? It's in the greatest city in America.
For sure. But at the same time, what we're seeing, it's going to have to be quite intensive when we do get those friendlies going,
The point is that there is a list of great coaches that will be available, to my point, that can take America to the next level. You just spoke about Jesse Marsh. There's a number of coaches on that list that could be tempted. And trust me, coaches are just as like anybody else. They want jobs and they want money, my friend. Okay?
For sure.
And it's not like you're going to, with no disrespect to any country I'm about to mention, it's not like you're about to go coach a team that is 155th, like Botswana. Or a job like South Africa, which is like a poison chalice. So Sam Allardyce, Big Sam, I think he's pretty much retired.
I would love Big Sam, honestly. I want to see a kick and rush type of play. I don't know. Ricardo Pepi, he's a big dude in the middle that we can just keep hoofing the ball up to. I'm good for that. Like, make football simple here because we've tried to play it tiki-taka. We've tried to play possession-based. It's just not working. That's my initial reaction right now. I am just pissed off because we should have at least scored one goal in that match.
Why? Why do you think we should have scored one goal? Why do you think you were entitled
I
to
didn't
score
say
one
we were
goal?
entitled, but we had chances and we did not take them. We had
I
two
agree.
clear-cut chances. Both times they had excellent closing, but our players didn't play the right pass, and some of them had a really bad first touch. So that's why I'm saying I'm upset because you got to at least score a goal in these big matches.
You have to do that, of course. That's how you win games, my son. However, you cannot expect a team that is unable to be clinical, as clinical when you need to be in these kind of things, in these situations. And we've seen time and time again in the last game, they were unable to take the chances they had and be clinical. Now, if you cannot do that, I'm not saying Josie Altidore is going to be your fix, but I'm just saying that, like, there's some things that we need to look at. And I think I'm glad it's a holiday and there's no more football for the USA, because really what it is looking at the squad of players that you have, and you have a huge, vast squad of players, and looking at, like, what's the best squad? What is the style of football that we want to play, to your point, and who can play that style? Because,
Yeah,
anyway,
we've got to figure this out.
enough about those losers.
No, wait. I do want to leave it up to the comment section. I want to hear from our listeners, any viewers that might want to send something in. Who would you want to replace Berhalter as coach? I know this question has come up, but after the loss tonight, this really needs to come up. And what type of style of play do you want to see the U.S. men's national team go for? Like, it's a lot of different players that we have, a lot of good players, a lot of mediocre players. All together, we need to figure out a style of play. So we'd love to hear in the comments. I'd love to hear in an email sent over to Dem Boys Watch Footy. Hit us up on either our IG or email address. So yeah,
to that
let's get
point,
into
if just to that point, I think if you're going to comment, just also leave a fact if you think we need to get a new coach. Why, because
why
that's
should
actually something that why should we? Why cancel him straight away? Why not get someone who's trying to fix things? You need to build. Sometimes you need to burn it down and build from the ground up. The phoenix rises, rise.
Well, yeah, let's keep it going with the summer of footy. Earlier today, Portugal was able to best Slovenia in a penalty shootout. Portugal's goalie stood on his head. He saved all three penalty shots today. He saved Ronaldo some really big blushes. Ronaldo missed a penalty to go ahead 1-0 in extra time. And the goalie was able to save on a breakaway from the center back Pepe's, the 40-year-old, his biggest mistake in a tournament so far. He let the ball go, possession go. Big player Sesko, striker for Slovenia, he's going to be coming up, and a lot of transfer rumors upcoming. And he missed the sitter. He was in a wild breakaway, and that goalie stood on his head and saved it. And so, what were your thoughts, TC, on the Portugal-Slovenia match today?
Yeah, look, up and down match. Well done to Slovenia. I think they can really pat themselves on the back for a really cohesive defensive display, real resilience. I think even the commentators spoke about it. I think, and maybe it's an insult to their players, but what it was really a collective effort by them, which was really quite great to see that they were playing more. It felt like more playing for their country. To Portugal's side, some a few chances to my man Ronaldo. Post the game, I think what I saw was there were more memes about Ronaldo taking a free kick and him and Pepe really retiring, because Ronaldo missed the penalty in the end, and Pepe's fuck up is what you can call it. That's all I can say. He gifted in extra time to a striker who, now, is it a great save or is it a bad finish? I don't know. I want to say most people would put that away, but Ronaldo had an opportunity to do something even closer and couldn't do that. So
Mm-hmm.
great save to the keeper. Something very similar happened when a guy called Emilio Martinez stopped Tiani just to stop them winning the World Cup. So saves win games, man. Diego Costa, the goalkeeper from Portugal, man,
He
great
stood.
fucking game, 10 out of
Yeah.
10. I think
11 out of
Ronaldo,
10.
he's got to stop crying. It's. I guess he's very emotional, and I get that. But although when he cries, he does seem to win trophies. So I think if my main takeaways from that was that Slovenia, unlucky chaps, it could have gone any way once it got to penalties. Um, the use of subs has really puzzled me over the last few games. Like coaches are afraid to use their squads.
Yeah.
You got João Felix, Diego Jota, all these guys on your bench that you can bring on and that you don't bring on. Like there's a fear to utilize them. Like fuck, if the dudes aren't doing, trust your squad. That's why you have them. That's I think the problem is that either there's a problem, and I saw this not just in this game, but a number of other ones as well. So that's something I would love to touch on a bit later. It's just about the use of subs.
Yeah.
You have these beautiful benches, but overall, like it was a 0-0 score. Out of the 4-5 games, the last 5 games, I've predicted each exact score, barring this Portugal one and Italy versus Switzerland, which no one in the world predicted. I predicted Denmark, the Slovenia-England game, the Georgia-Spain game, and the Belgium-France game.
So TC's trying to say he is Negrodamus. I love it. Love it so far.
Yeah,
But that's a good point. That you bring up about the benches, though. I know that we talked about it in our debates about the friendlies coming up into international football season, but yeah, these coaches they have these benches. They have this huge pool of players that all are playing pretty good at their club levels. They wouldn't be called up to the international level if they weren't good. And these coaches, they really trust their starting 11. And with international footy, I mean, it makes sense. Like if that's your starting 11, good. But some people need a quick hook. Some people might just not be on top of it that day, and that's okay. That's why you
100%.
have substitutions. And completely agree with you within the Portugal game. Some teams don't have great benches. Like I don't believe Slovenia has a great bench. I'm sure they're stuck with it. But some coaches, like Roberto Martinez, he was the coach for the Belgium golden generation, as they love to call that one. And we'll get into that in a little bit. I think he still has some mismanagement issues with his team, but he's on through. One more point about the game. I really feel as though the starting up front 3 still don't know how to mesh together. Leao and Silva on the wings for some reason just is not clicking for Portugal in big time matches. While Ronaldo, I don't know why he's crying so much. He's getting the ball. He's getting the ball. Dead ball situations, he's getting them. Penalty situations, he's getting the ball at headers. Like I don't know why. I understand he's pressing hard to score, but you're moving forward and you're playing the most minutes. Try to rein in your emotion. You're supposedly the captain of this team. Rein that shit in and lead these men. So that's my last point.
I think that's it. Hit the nail on the head. I think that's it. Be emotional, but be emotional great in the good way. Use that emotive energy to drive it in a good way, to be positive, rather than an emotional wreck. That's just you care a lot about the game, great, but you skied every free kick and you missed a penalty. Like honestly, what would you give Ronaldo a rating for that game out of 10?
Today, I mean, he did make that first penalty today in the penalty shootout, but he did miss that penalty to actually take the lead in extra time. So I'd probably give the man a 5.
You are too kind.
Yeah, I mean, when you are still able to play 120 minutes, I will always give somebody the benefit of the doubt. If you could, he's 38, 39, and he just played 120 minutes.
It's not an excuse. He's a machine, so by that he should be able to. That asshole should have been look, you can't sub Ronaldo if you're going to penalties. However, I looked at their squad and I'm like, would I bring on João Felix? Yes, I would. Jota? Yes, I would. Against tired legs, young, fresh dudes who can run. Come on, man. Come
It would have been something to
on.
see.
Roberto Martinez is a Southgate from frickin' wherever he's from. He is, whatever. He's a tan version of Gareth Southgate. He would jump in a bath with frickin' water wings, okay? Robert Martinez do you know that his Belgium was the one that knocked out Portugal last time at the World Cup. So it was quite poetic that it was like his team that knocked out Belgium, but it was still the same coach anyway. I just, look, I'm really hoping they're going to gel. I think they've got the players to do so. The next game is going to be a spicy for them. Spicy. And it's really going to test their mettle. So
who are they playing next?
The next games are it is France versus Portugal. Wow, PJ, thank you very much for joining us, sir. I've been looking for you.
Yeah.
Looking like you have a face of someone who stole your candy and refused to give it back to you, even when you told your mom.
Way worse than that. Yeah, I just got home from the game. Not good. I mean, I saw in the group chat, the ref was terrible, but, we still didn't have the opportunities. The ref did suck, but can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Just run with it.
I don't know. At this point, I just want Berhalter gone because I don't necessarily blame him, but I'm tired of. I know that's what every other YouTube channel is going to be talking about. So I kind of want him gone just so we can actually talk about football. But just run out of opportunities. I mean, I think there were some bad calls there, and I think Uruguay's goal should have been disallowed, but. I don't think we created enough chances, and then when we were down, we were just sending long balls. And I really think that this team just needs some. I think one of you, TC, might have mentioned it. The team needs some, veteran leadership. We did better in the World Cup in a tougher group because we didn't really face adversity. I think ever since that Panama red card, we just didn't know how to bounce back. And tough teams bounce back, and I think this team needs to just get a little older and have some veteran leadership to be able to bounce back because we got off to a good start in this tournament, but then I just felt like everything fell apart after that red card.
I don't know if it just fell apart. This team hasn't been good. I mean, our first match 2-0 against Bolivia. That Bolivia squad was not that great, and we were hoping that they were going to hold Panama today. And there was a chance. They tied Panama. That was their first goal of the entire tournament, was scored tonight. And then Panama just snatched it right back. So I don't think that our performance against Bolivia was really great. Our performance against Panama, even with that red card, we were still up. And we did not know how to close that game up. It was... I don't know what Berhalter was trying to do during that match against Panama, but it was not the right thing, particularly. And then tonight, we couldn't score a goal against a team that had already moved forward.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's the issue. We're playing at home, and we were just completely off the mark. TC kind of brought it up best. Tactically, we're not better than Uruguay. Player, we're not better than Uruguay. It was just, you could just tell there was a different level. Because we had lost that match against Panama, coming into this match today, I did not feel as though we had any chance to win. And that's a problem for a team that is number 11 in the FIFA US rankings.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, what do you guys... I still stand by my previous comments that I think this is a very talented team. I think on paper, even with these results... I still think this is a talented team, not as good as Uruguay, but that Panama game came down to a red card. So what do you guys think is lacking? I mean, every other YouTube channel is going to talk about the coach. Is there anything else to talk about, or is that it? Or do you not think this team is as good as I think?
No, well, I definitely don't think this team is as good as you think. Definitely number one. Number two, I think there are a number of things that can be done for the team. I think it's a bit of we were talking about it earlier, is working with what the squad that we have to build a system that works, and that can come through time. I don't necessarily think it means like getting rid of the coach. I think it just means you learn some things from this and you build on from it, because you can only learn from this and go up. I think that's the best part about this. You can only go up from here. And what you need to do is have a place to move up from. What you have to do is look at where your strengths are, look at where your weaknesses are, and the style, as E pointed out, PJ, while you weren't here, he said, the style that we want to play. Now, once we know our weaknesses and our strengths and the style we want to play, we look at our squad and we need to just keep building on that and try and test. I don't think this is a bad thing. I think we tried and tested. I think what we're lacking is definitely looking like a strong striker. We were pretty solid at the back. I think
Losing back can hurt.
We've got some injuries. So to be fair, I think what we're looking at is really just building on the systems that were built. It will come right. I think, we've got another couple of, I don't know what team is going and who's playing as part of the Olympic team and who's been selected as part of the Olympic team. There's obviously 3 overage players that are allowed to go as part of the Olympic team. But yeah. I think the looking forward is really like building on, defense. If no one scores against you, you can't lose. So that's a good position. I think we've got a good platform to build on there. Midfield, we need to look at who best fits in there and how best to utilize them. Secondly, is what are we utilizing with the point of our sword, and who is that point? Because I think to E's point is that if you don't have an identity that you're trying to impose as a coach onto a team, the players that come into that system are unable to adapt. And it's kind of like what you see today is 1 or 2 players who look like they're playing harder than everyone else, or seems like they're playing by themselves because there's no coherence. And that's what you saw. Therefore, you have no shots because there is a lack of belief in the system and of just getting it to get going, There's a stagnant belief. You get frustrated, So these are all things, and I think, as E said, leaving it to the last game, there was just too much pressure. And Uruguay is not a team you want to do that. You said we were good on paper. I think, to be fair, we did fucking well to lose that 1-0. I'm in a group where there are people projecting their scores. They were before the game at 4-1, 5-1, all that kind of thing. And I was like, whoa, give the defense some kahunas there. I mean, I think we were. I didn't want to say I told you so, but I did say that this team, and I said this to E before, our expectations for this team were way too high. We're way too high. We need to come back to where we are and work with them, I think we're dreaming about our women's team, thinking that it's going to convert into our men's team. Right now, the team is where it needs to be. Let's keep our expectations low. They will build that up. They have the platform. You said it, PJ. They have the platform for there. They have good players. And that's where we definitely differ, because PJ, I was like, I looked at this group and everyone was like, this is an easy group. I was listening to my man Alexis over there. He was like, oh, this is an easy group. Should have got easy group for who, man? For who? It was an easy group, but no. I was saying this to E. On paper, we have good players. I believe that across the board and overall, technically across the teams that we played, bar maybe Panama, technically they all seem better, barring a few players, obviously. Overall, though, so I think that we were lucky in that sense to do where we did. I think our expectations were to get to quarterfinals. We have to. A lot of luck had to go our way. Take out the refs out of it. We had some shots and things miss and penalties and posts. But fuck, I mean, to be fair, like I expected this and wanted to be pleasantly surprised. Unfortunately, but to me, and I told you, this is not a shock to me.
It wasn't a shock just because we left it to the last match against the best team in the group. And like I said, I felt as though going against Uruguay, even if we were number 2 in the group and Panama had a chance to overtake us if they would have beat Bolivia, I honestly would have taken Panama to get second after watching our first match. I was just not impressed after that Bolivia match. But there was always this belief, especially as being an American, our squad is supposed to be better than what we're seeing, and it just didn't work out. Just the fact that we couldn't even score a goal against us, like I have to keep bringing that up. We couldn't score a goal. Like it was just bad all around. It was just bad, and it's not right. It's not right. So
Bring back Freddie Adu.
no, never bring him back. Let him rest. Let that man rest. No, I'm good. He was terrible for South Korea, so I don't want to bring him back.
Listen, the point is,
We had already brought this up, and again, want to bring this up for the listeners. Who do you believe should be leading the U.S. men's national squad as the manager? And should we even make that decision to switch? Should we keep him and build up for the next 2 years because he might have a plan that will get us through? Or should we burn everything down and get something starting anew? All right. Want to quickly close this out. So, Paige, we were talking about the France versus Belgium match. France and own goal won again today. It was 1-0 France. France is not looking super strong right now. It's kind of scary. That was my team to win the Euro. And own goal is their only way of scoring. So, TC would love to hear your thoughts on it.
yeah, own goals is the leading goal scorer for France at the moment. Yeah, I watched that game from the beginning to the end. I think it had patches of teams changing gears to really, but no one could really get their foot on the throat to say. I think that Mbappe hates playing with a mask. It's quite obvious. Fucking hates that. And Kante, a G. Kevin De Bruyne, I feel sorry for because he goes from playing in a team of Man City with players like that to players in the Belgium side who are just like Lukaku. So, look, I think it was an aging, tiring Belgium side. They had no real outlet. It was a real dying out. It was in danger of going to penalties. And I think that just based on what we saw and the chances, based on the score and the chances that were created, like deserved winners to France. I think that they can only get better as well. A team that is like, as the competition does move, competitions like this, teams do seem to click into gear at the right stages. And the point is to get to the quarter, semis, however, and be there or thereabouts to hope that it clicks about, So that's the end goal, and that's what they got. So kudos to them. And Belgium, ha, goodbye. Kevin, go on holiday, you ass penis, which I'm very apologetic about because a man of Kevin's talent, you always want to see in a competition like this. So it is a shame to see him go, but he has people like Lukaku. You can't go from playing with Erling Haaland and Rodri to fucking Lukaku. You just can't do that to man. You need to let the man go on summer holiday. Let him go and rent a yacht and go to Greece, okay? Let him go. He does not deserve this after the season he has. Lukaku.
I mean, the Belgium squad completely underperformed this entire Euro. Like, the fact that they even made it forward this long and in that group that they were in, they should have lost their last match, and they ended up keep going. They got through. Their group was the hardest group in all of the Euros. All teams ended at 4, and that they felt like the weakest team in that group. So,
E and PJ, can I ask you guys a question? And PJ, this is directed to you, and then obviously to you, E. But based on what you just said there, collectively, looking at all these teams and games, you said it about France. We're seeing it with Belgium. Teams that were expected to perform, and there are teams that are performing. So let's not and so maybe it's already a null and void. But is this vindicative of maybe too much football from a season that we're seeing on players? Like it's fatigue, and they're just like, "Hey, yo, man," and we played like 90. Dude's played like 77 games, and now I've got an extra 3 weeks that is supposed to be holiday. Okay? This is supposed to be their holiday, and now they're paying extra games, and then in 2 weeks' time it's preseason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
No, for sure.
is that a problem?
A lot of game time.
So
I still think players aren't really fully back from that World Cup in 2022 because that messed up the entire cycle, and that's where we are kind of right now.
Because it was delayed, yeah.
That's where I feel as though things are kind of still messed up. When you have the World Cup in the winter, you have now pushed everyone's cycle forward because football didn't stop in the summer when they still had international qualifying for the Euros and the World Cup upcoming that summer in 2023. So, yeah, I feel as though it is a little bit too much football going on, but these players are also getting paid. So there has to be a delicate balance somewhere. We have to figure. I mean, we try to say that within the NFL as well right now. You got people literally hitting people in collision-like tackles every game, and they're having to extend out to play 18 weeks straight plus an extra 4 games to play in postseason to crown a champion, and that's too much.
What do we learn in the MLS Sales Center, E? That ticket sales are 70% of revenue. More tickets, more games these federations make. They don't give a crap
of course,
about the players. They want to make money. The more games there, that's why the World Cup's expanded too. It's about the money. It's not about the quality of the tournament. It's about money. But that's a good point, TC. I mean, it was the first thing Anthony Robinson said. They're like, well, where do we go from here? He's like, well, honestly, I'm just really tired because I just finished the EPL season, went straight to the COPA America. Like, I'm gonna chill out for a little bit. So, I don't know what the solution is. I guess it could be a little bit later, but then that's closer to the start of the season. It's a good point. I mean, what can they do about it?
Well, EPL makes too much money. They commercially they are the richest league in the world, and that's because of their media contracts. People do not tune in to the EPL to watch second, like your backup players or your youth players, unless you're someone that is a scout or really into tactics. So it has to be better management on the managers at the club level, but then as well, there needs to be some football taken away in these other competitions. Not all of these players play in European club competitions, but these friendlies that happen in the middle of the year, there has to be better call-up policies. I mean, the unions at these specific places should be more involved, but definitely have to take things into their own hands. Something like Leon Bailey, he was just like, you know what? This is not working for me.
That was crazy. And I was rooting for Jamaica too, so
I was just rooting for him hard. So
yeah.
I mean, well, that's believable. If you heard what was going on in that camp and stuff like that, it was absolute amateur hour over there. So I believe it, especially when you're someone.
That's what they were saying.
So, and it's come across. You've seen that across, and that's a shame. With that's part of obviously Jamaica's Football Association. Part of that, and also just not like FIFA. I blame that on both of those, not giving them the structure and guidance to make sure that they have that, especially the smaller unions that maybe don't have the funding and the expertise and the knowledge to do that properly, and they want to take players like Greenwood and Leon Bailey into their squad. Like if I'm Greenwood, I'd be like, nah, fuck that, bro. I'd rather go on holiday the whole time. You know what I mean? Like I'm player of the month and fucking I'm the player of the season at Getafe. Now you want me to come play for the Jamaican Bad Boys? Bomba clutch, man! I am doing that shit.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Bomba clutch. I mean, any country to be big for to represent, but you don't want to go and waste time. There's nothing. If he asked me to come to his house for a party and there's fucking holes in the ground and shit's just not working out, and he's like, yo, I'll be like, next time he invites me, I'm like, I don't know about that, but if PJ, you invite me to the party and there's fucking toilet paper and babes, next time you invite me, I'm coming through ATC. And that's what's
I'm going to need a party after this last weekend, yeah.
Exactly. And anyone who's a USA fan needs a party because you need to come down to earth. Y'all are bumper clots. Bumper clot. You know what? USA football performance and Jamaica Football Association actions go together. That's what they should do. You get if you like Jamaican Football Association and the play of the U American team, that's what they belong together. Both of them are shit bumper clot idiots.
Well, any final thoughts from the both of you?
Who are you guys rooting for? Give me a team to root for now, so I don't cry for the next 3 months.
Well, you can root for Uruguay.
Mm-hmm. I want a prediction. Give me an emotional take.
I'm gonna get behind Colombia. Colombia and Copa America, and in Euros, whoever wins between Germany and Spain will win the Euros. That is my prediction.
I like that.
I think that's a good call. How are you liking England so far?
Yeah.
England, like I said, as I say, you just want to be there and thereabouts, so that anything can happen now. England are shit. They are the USA of Europe.
My God,
they're there and thereabouts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they somehow made it. Well, yeah, wanted to thank everybody again for giving us a listen to Dem Boys Watch Footy. Hope your evening or your day, wherever you're listening this, however you're listening to this, is way better than fans of the U.S. men's national team. For E, TC, and PJ, peace out. Later.